Hey everyone, how's it going? With Meet Your Match being 10 years ago and the discussion of quick play versus casual, an argument I hear is that people are blinded with nostalgia for wanting quick play. So I wanted to find some videos from 2016 of people discussing casual when it first came out. I want to get a general consensus of what people were saying, with positives, negatives, and see what was fixed and what's still an issue now. Basically, I just want to show proof that many issues people complain about now aren't just pulled out of thin air, but are problems that have been discussed since the release of Meet Your Match. Obviously, many people also left to play Overwatch around that time, which, say what you want, but you have to understand that Overwatch was like the first hero shooter to come out since TF2 that was like worth playing, and it was from Blizzard, which Blizzard back then was viewed a bit different than Blizzard today. So then coming out with a new IP as well as a first-person shooter with a lot of influence from TF2 was like, holy shit. But I feel like the original plan for many of these players was, hey, I'm going to try out this new exciting game until TF2's competitive comes out, and then we'll see how that is. Because Overwatch came out like a month or so before Meet Your Match. But then the update released and people went, oh, this is not good. And so they just stayed with Overwatch. I just say this because some larger figureheads at the time didn't really put anything out about Meet Your Match. They kind of just told their opinion without directly saying anything, if that makes any sense.
I sincerely hope one of these two things happens. Overwatch is awesome, or TF2 matchmaking is awesome. I sincerely don't care which. Just I need something that I want to play.
I watched a video from GermanPeter, Cirky, Muselk, which this is a great video. I know he was popular, but I never really watched him before this. I feel he hit the nail perfectly on the head for how most people felt about this update and just the culture of the game at this time, as well as how he describes the community feels especially accurate to today. Cerny, CJ, which this aged well.
So from what I understand, Valve has rebalances, and stuff like that ready for both classes, but whichever team wins is gonna have their class, done first.
Nisult and N-I-S-L-T. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce it, but this also aged pretty well.
I'm incredibly disappointed with Valve and with how Team Fortress is ending up, but I have a lot of hope. And here's what it's going to take. Before you do or add anything to the game or change anything about the game, you need to make sure that the servers work. On top of that, you need to update the game more than once every 6 months. That's just uncalled for a game that you want people to put money into.
I'm going to use this bullet point list that GermanPeter made in his video because he was the only one who tried to really say something actually positive about casual, as well as all his negatives are pretty much what everyone else mentioned. The only thing he didn't put was cheaters, which I heard brought up in Muselk and Cirky's videos. And yes, they were talking about the bots, which didn't just come out of the blue. They were always in the game, they just became noticeable and a problem with the implementation of casual.
I held off on making this video because I thought that Valve, after seeing the complete outcry from the TF2 community, after seeing player numbers drop, after seeing almost every casual and competitive match plagued with unbalanced games, hyping, and hackers, I thought they might realize, hey, maybe some of these changes aren't for the best. Let's fix it. But as it's been for years now, they didn't do that.
Which was absolutely disgusting that it took Valve 8 years to get rid of those bots. They gave us this horrible update which facilitated bots to even exist like they did, and then just left us with this unplayable shit until people got so fucking angry about it, it reached outside of TF2's ecosystem. So Valve then felt pressured to have to do something. The only games with that bad of a cheating issue are games that aren't played anymore. Like if you go play an old COD game or something, it's just gonna be all cheaters. The difference is those games aren't supported anymore. TF2 is obviously still an actively played and supported in quotation marks game that they're making God knows how much money from, which sure, not as much as CS and Dota, but the trading scene in TF2 is still really big, as well as the community market, which Valve has to profit heavily from. And you know this because the only updates are fucking crate updates, so you know they still make enough money from key sales for that to be worth it. Alright, I got a little off track there. Looking at these bullet points, we'll go over the positives first. The only one that's like a real positive in my opinion is queuing with a party, and that's kind of debatable. I've played so many matches with a 6-stack that's just a complete stomp, whether it's on my team or the other team, or they just leave midway through, so now the game is just a 6v12 until the matchmaker finally decides to find new people to replace them. So I don't think a party system is bad, it's just the way casual works makes the party system pretty bad. The stalking I feel is more of just a content creator problem, which I get, but stream sniping is still definitely a thing. But sure, I guess people can't just join from your Steam profile anymore. anymore, which if it was that big of an issue, you could have just made your profile private. Saving and loading a map list is fine, but to be honest, I don't think it would be such an issue if there weren't so many maps in the game. But I guess that one is also a positive. And the XP system being rewarding is pretty subjective. Personally, I would have called that neutral rather than good because it doesn't really add anything or take anything away. So to me, the positives are only considered positives because casual implemented things so poorly that having these makes it look like good changes. For the bad, I'm just going to look at what has changed compared to current day. We have an auto balance system that works some of the time. Normally just auto balances you at the end of a round after people rage quit. The not all maps and game modes being available, he referred to Asteroids, CTF Sawmill, and Cactus Canyon. So I guess if you're using those as a metric, technically this isn't fixed because I can't play 2 of those maps still, nor did Valve ever finish them. I never had an issue with matchmaking times. I have found it rare to not find a server quickly, but I also live in a highly populated place and generally play more popular maps, so I think the general queue times are better than then, but low population areas and queuing for less popular game modes are still going to take forever. The rematch, find a new match, and games ending aren't a thing anymore, at least the systems he's referring to. So other than that, all of these issues and cons are still in the game. So I made a revamped bullet point list for current day casual here with issues and cons that are still relevant to now. Now these things in the cons section are things that should be fixed because they make the game, not really fun to play, which is kind of the main point of a video game. Personally, I think reverting back to the last version of Quickplay would fix a majority of these issues, if not all of them. You have to remember too, people were excited for this update. Before this, there was Gunmetal, which sure added contracts, but Valve did nothing interesting with them. There were some community updates, which basically just added hats, so it's whatever. And then there was the Love and War update, which added the fucking conga. I don't think I have to say more. People were slowly getting bored of the game because honestly, the only good update before this was MVM in December of 2012. I'm not saying the game was bad at these times, but looking back at the updates with hindsight, from 2013 to Meet Your Match, honestly, there wasn't anything very good, but people did want this. It was talked about for years before this update that TF2 would have a competitive mode, but nobody wanted Quickplay removed. No one wanted what was played by 90% of the community to be removed. Nobody wanted the whole game to be competitive. But Valve decided to just implement a system they didn't even let bake in the oven, had beta testers for it, but didn't implement any of their feedback, and with people being increasingly unhappy update after update, they decided to just abandon the game, which is also why so many people left to play Overwatch at the time. I genuinely think most people were just going to play Overwatch until this update came out, but then it was kind of broken, so they were like, alright, well, I'll just keep playing Overwatch until Valve fixes it. But then Valve just didn't really do anything. So now we're at the point of today where we have the same problems that people complained about 10 years ago. It baffles me people want to keep casual in the game. I would genuinely like to hear any support for why you want casual over Quickplay, because I am really curious and I haven't heard any good arguments for it. It's like we had a system in the past where, was it perfect? No, but majority of people had fun playing the game and it was seen as a time that people said, oh, this is the golden age of TF2. And then we have a system now where a lot of people complain about it and it's facilitated so many issues that I don't know why anyone argues for it to stay in the game still. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this video interesting. I'll see you in the next one.